When Hereditary released in 2018, many expected a simple supernatural horror film. But what audiences got was something much darker, a story that hides a centuries-old demonic legend beneath a mask of grief and family trauma. At its core, Hereditary isn't just about death or madness. It's about worship. It's about devotion to a power older than humanity, a power called King Payman. He isn't a ghost or a hallucination. He's a real demon from ancient demonology, and in Hereditary, every horrifying event leads to one thing: his rebirth into our world. Let's uncover who Payman is, what he represents, and how the Graham family became the final offering in a ritual centuries in the making. The film begins with the death of Ellen Lee, the grandmother. At her funeral, Annie, her daughter, delivers a speech that already hints at something wrong. She mentions that her mother had private rituals and secret friends that her family knew nothing about. Annie's tone is uneasy. She talks about her mother's mental illness, her paranoia, her controlling nature. But beneath those words lies something much more sinister. Ellen wasn't just a troubled woman. She was the leader of a cult devoted to summoning King Payman, one of the 8 kings of hell, mentioned in texts like the Ars Goetia, the Lesser Key of Solomon, and Pseudo-Monarchia Daemonum. According to these grimoires, Payman is a high-ranking demon who appears as a crowned man riding a camel, surrounded by spirits playing trumpets and cymbals. He's described as obedient to Lucifer and capable of teaching all arts, sciences, and secret things. He's also said to grant wealth and loyalty, but only if he's given a suitable human vessel to inhabit. And that's exactly what Ellen and her followers wanted to give him. The movie begins long after the first steps of this ritual have already been set in motion. Annie doesn't know it, but her family has been prepared for generations to host this demon. Ellen first tried to summon Payman through Annie's brother. We learn that her brother died by suicide, leaving a note saying his mother was trying to put people inside him. His death stopped that attempt, but Ellen didn't give up. Years later, when Annie had her own children, Ellen saw another chance. Annie admits in the film that she kept Ellen away from her son, Peter, but allowed her to care for her newborn daughter, Charlie. That mistake, that one act of trust, is what allows the ritual to begin again. Charlie isn't just a strange child. She's the vessel, the host meant for Payman's spirit. Throughout the first half of Hereditary, Charlie's behavior makes more sense when seen through that lens. She doesn't seem fully human. She speaks little, she isolates herself, and she's drawn to symbols and strange crafts. She even cuts off the head of a dead bird, a subtle foreshadowing of the decapitations that define the film's ritual. In demonology, beheading is often a symbol of transition, removing the human identity so the spirit inside can take full control. It's also a nod to Payman's depictions in old texts, where he's surrounded by severed heads of the sacrifices offered to him. Then comes the film's turning point. Peter is pressured by his mother to take Charlie to a party. There, she accidentally eats a piece of cake containing nuts, triggering a fatal allergic reaction. Peter drives her toward a hospital, but as she gasps for air, she sticks her head out the window, and in one of the most shocking scenes in modern horror, she's decapitated instantly by a telephone pole. The pole itself is marked with Payman's sigil. Her death was never an accident. It was a step in the ritual transferring Payman's spirit out of a female vessel, so he could be placed into a male one. Because in every description of Payman's manifestation, he demands to inhabit a male body. That's where Peter comes in. From this moment forward, Peter becomes the real target. Annie begins to spiral into grief, her mental state breaking apart. She meets a woman named Joan, who pretends to be a grieving mother like her. But Joan is one of Ellen's cult members, sent to manipulate Annie into completing the ritual. Joan teaches Annie how to perform a seance to communicate with Charlie, convincing her that she can bring her daughter back. But what Annie actually summons is Charlie at all, it's Payman. That seance scene marks the true possession phase. Invisible forces begin haunting the family. Annie becomes erratic, Steve grows fearful, and Peter starts hearing voices calling his name. The haunting doesn't come from ghosts. It's the demon's influence spreading through the house. By this point, Ellen's cult has surrounded them. Her followers appear in the background of several scenes, watching silently. They wait for the final step, Peter's complete surrender. Then comes the most disturbing sequence in the film's final act. Annie finds her mother's corpse in the attic, decapitated. She discovers a photo album filled with images of Ellen, Joan, and other cultists performing rituals around her children. The writing on the walls, "Hail Payman, lift him up," all point to the same conclusion. They were never haunted by random spirits. They were part of a summoning. Payman needed a perfect vessel. Charlie's death and Peter's breakdown were all part of forcing that vessel open. In the last 20 minutes, Annie becomes fully possessed. She chases Peter through the house, levitating, moving unnaturally, driven by something beyond her control. When Peter escapes into the attic, he finds strange symbols drawn everywhere, candles lit, and his grandmother's headless corpse kneeling before him. Then Annie's body floats up and decapitates itself with piano wire, the final sacrifice to complete the ritual. Moments later, Peter jumps out of the window. His soul leaves his body and something else enters. A light drifts down from the treehouse, the same golden glow that's followed Charlie throughout the film. Peter's breathing changes. He stands up. He's no longer Peter. The film's ending is both calm and horrifying. Peter walks into the treehouse, where the cult kneels before him. Candles flicker, bodies bow, and the decapitated heads of Ellen and Annie are placed beneath a crowned statue. Joan speaks, "Hail Payman, hail, now you are Payman, one of the 8 kings of hell." The cult rejoices. The camera lingers on Peter's face, blank, peaceful, but utterly gone. This is the final success of Ellen's life's work. Her bloodline was the offering, her grandson the host. Through years of grief, manipulation, and death, King Payman has found his body. But there's more to Payman's story than what the film shows. In the Ars Goetia, Payman is one of the most loyal demons to Lucifer, known for his deep knowledge of philosophy, astronomy, and hidden treasures. He's said to command hundreds of legions of spirits. His symbol, a curved sigil of interlocking lines, appears throughout the movie, on necklaces, walls, and even that telephone pole that kills Charlie. His presence represents knowledge through suffering. The cult in Hereditary doesn't summon him out of love or devotion. They do it for power, wealth, and enlightenment. But those gifts come with a price: human lives. The film's genius lies in how it hides this supernatural story beneath layers of psychological realism. For most of the runtime, you can interpret everything as grief, mental illness, or inherited trauma. Annie's breakdown could be read as psychosis. Peter's hallucinations could be guilt. The family's destruction could be symbolic of generational pain. But the final scene strips away all doubt. This wasn't metaphor, it was ritual. Ellen's cult succeeded in summoning a demon that transcends their suffering, a being who sees them as tools, not worshippers. The deeper message of Hereditary is that evil doesn't always come from outside. Sometimes it's inherited, passed through families like a curse, disguised as love or tradition. Payman represents that hidden darkness, the kind that hides behind the people we trust most: a grandmother, a mother, a friend. The film's title says it all: Hereditary. What is inherited isn't wealth or wisdom, but doom, a fate written long before the characters were even born. And by the end, there's no exorcism, no salvation, no priest to stop it, because this was never a battle, it was destiny. The demon in Hereditary isn't a monster lurking in the shadows. He's a presence that infects through lineage, through grief, through belief itself. That's what makes the film so terrifying. It's not just the supernatural that destroys the Graham family, it's the ordinary. Love twisted into control, devotion turned into madness, legacy turned into damnation. The cult wins not through power, but through patience. And in their worship, they deliver the world a king of hell crowned not in fire, but in silence. If you enjoyed this deep breakdown of the demon in Hereditary, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more horror lore, film theories, and mythology explained. And tell me, do you think Payman's reign ends here, or did Ellen's cult just open the door for something even worse?